I hope you're doing well. So today's video, as you can see, is another video about Camp America, but more specifically about traveling after camp. And even if you've not done Camp America, you can definitely apply these to just USA travel tips. So as I've been writing down all my notes that I've got in front of me, I was like, oh my goodness, there's actually so much to talk about. So I'm going to break it down into 3 different videos for you, so then you know exactly what you're getting in each video. So this first video is all going to be about the whole planning process, deciding who to go with, where to stay, where to go. The second video is going to be more about the logistics, like the budgeting, your best transport methods. With Camp America, you can get the DIY flight pass. And then the third video is going to be about my personal travel stories, my personal recommendations of where to go, what I did, some actually crazy stories of what happened, and maybe some things for you to avoid. Let's just begin with this first video about the planning process, deciding who to go with, where to stay. Let's just get straight into it. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is when you're thinking, okay, I want to travel after camp. Obviously you're given like 30 days on your visa to do so after camp, and there's the option of, do I just kind of go with the flow and travel with friends, or that I make it camp, or do I do a Camp America trek? Now I personally just went with the flow and made friends at camp and went traveling with them. However, if you're not so spontaneous and you prefer to be very organized and know exactly where you're going and what you're going to do after camp, and maybe in a way probably save some money because it's all kind of done for you, you don't really have to plan it all, then a trek is probably for you. However, I can't say that much about treks because I didn't do it. I had the best time ever traveling and just kind of being spontaneous and going with the flow and with the friends that I made at camp. So what I would say, and I did actually post on my Instagram before, just to my friends, saying anybody that I went to like camp with or has been to camp, give me some travel tips that I can mention in this video. And so many people got back and just said, just go with the flow, just be open to different things. And I remember getting to camp and thinking, do I need to start talking about my travel straight away to get something like planned and booked? But no, honestly, you've got 2 months at camp. Like, I would say just wait it out. Don't even like bring it up unless it comes into conversation. Like, you will slowly just start figuring out who are your people, and you'll naturally talk about it, and it doesn't have to be some like, I need to get this booked in, those people are already booking theirs in, like I've got nothing planned. You'll just kind of find your flow and you'll find your people, and I think being a bit more relaxed with it, you'll probably end up making much better plans anyway. That kind of leads me on to like who to go with, kind of group sizes. Throughout my journey at camp, I had so many different friends, and to be honest, I wasn't too sure like who to go with. Initially it was kind of a thing where I thought, oh, maybe I'll be going with 4 different girls, and it ended up being with a bigger group of a mixture of boys and girls. And to be honest, that was the best thing for me. But it wasn't, you know, because it was a mixture of boys and girls, and it wasn't because it was a bigger group. It was because we were all like-minded people, and I think that is the key thing here. Just make sure that you've been at camp for a while, that you kind of know these people, you're on the same wavelength. You know, you don't want to go with people that you want to go on a beach holiday really relaxing, and these people want to go out partying every night and doing all this kind of stuff. Like, yes, okay, there's always going to be a little few things like along the way traveling that some people are like, oh, actually I'd rather do this today, or I'd rather do this. And sometimes that's why a bigger group is better, because you'll always have 1 or 2 people that want to do what you want to do, and sometimes you'll split off, sometimes you do it all together. I wouldn't recommend, unless you really had like your absolute soulmate, just going with one person, like just 2 of you, unless like, you know, you want something really, really specific and that's just what you 2 want to do, then great. A group from about 4, my group was with 10 people at one point. Maybe not any more than that. You're never going to have a travel experience again where you're going around America with like 10 people. So if that sounds kind of fun to you, then definitely don't say no to it. If you can kind of pick numbers or whatever, maybe try and stick with even numbers, because it's always great when you're traveling around that you've all got someone to sit next to on a coach or a flight, or when you're at a theme park, for example. Like, even numbers are always the best, but obviously that's not always like a given, and you just kind of go with the flow. I'm going to say the words go with the flow so many times in this video. When it comes to where to go and where to stay, so I'll talk more in depth about where I went in my third video in this series, but just as a brief overview, my travels consisted of my camp was in Pennsylvania, then we went to New York, then down to Washington DC, down to Florida, then across to LA, and then to San Francisco. When it comes to deciding where to stay, if you've got a place that you're like, I have to go here, like there's no budging on this, that's absolutely fine, and stress that, but just, you know, be able to compromise and your group will work it out. If, for example, you've got something really specific, can't find anyone at camp that wants to do that with you, then don't panic, because you could always hop onto one of those Camp America treks. There's probably going to be space for you, so that can always be a little bit of a backup. When it comes to where to stay, obviously it depends on your group size, but you know, we found that hostels, Airbnbs, even some hotels actually, so don't completely rule them out thinking they're going to be really expensive. Like, have a look, especially with hostels and Airbnbs, because you split the cost. And to be honest, Airbnbs were the one, like genuinely were the best, because you end up staying in a really nice place. Once you've split the cost between you, it's like so cheap. Pick a safe area. When it comes to my personal stories video, you'll know why I'm stressing choose a safe area and read the reviews of the place. In terms of the planning process, like when it does come to talking about it at camp, obviously, you know, you do need to kind of have like sit down like conversations about what you're going to do, where you're going to go. So once you've established like who you're going to go with, have the outlines of where you're going to go and what dates you're kind of going to do this and that, and it'll probably be then at that point that if you haven't already, you'll maybe like booking your flight home, but leave some wiggle room just in between those stages. Just be thinking in mind like what you want to do when you get there. You don't have to have like a major plan, you know, like will it be tourist kind of like city vibe days where you're always on your feet, or will it be like, are we chilling that day? And as from what I told you, like we had a very good mix of everything, which was absolutely perfect for what we all wanted, because obviously we'd been busy every day at camp and we did just want a few beach days, and we got that in Florida, but then obviously we wanted to see all the tourist sites and, you know, be active in the other cities, and that's what we did. You don't have to plan, this is what we're doing on Monday 10 o'clock. You don't have to structure it like that. Just think, write down the list of things that you really want to do. I want to go to New York and I want to see the Empire State Building. I want to go up to the top. Great, okay. But then you don't have to plan everything else that you're going to do or what day you're going to do that whilst you're in New York. Just kind of have that in mind and you will do it. And each place, it's just better to be spontaneous. Also, you're going to be at camp with lots of Americans, and use that to your advantage. You know, it may be that they say, come and stay with me for a short while, or they recommend some places to go, and use that local knowledge, because you're never going to really get that again from someone that actually knows you, that you've developed a friendship with, and they can give you like true, like proper recommendations for places in America that you wouldn't normally go to. And one final thing that I would stress, which is on the actual Camp America website, is stay in North America. I think, you know, a few people would be like, oh, I want to go to Canada or Mexico or whatever, but if you do want to do that, then I think you could maybe do that at the end of your trip. But I just think it makes it a little bit more complicated, especially with your J1 visa, to then get back into America. So just have those things in mind when it comes to traveling. But I think for ease, and you know, you've got so many things to see in North America, I just suggest staying there, and it makes it a little bit easier, especially if you're going through Camp America, to kind of still continue to be looked after by them, and just everything going a little bit more smoothly. So that kind of rounds up the first part of this video in terms of planning. I literally remember like thinking, oh my god, like, you know, you want to be planned, you want to be organized, but definitely like this trip is taking you out of your comfort zone anyway. So I would just say, unless you're really panicky about it, and that's absolutely fine, because I do know a few people that were just like, no, like this trek sounds amazing, like I'm just gonna do this and at least I know exactly what I'm doing. If you've got a little bit of a feeling inside of you that thinks I just want to go with the flow, then genuinely you'll probably have a better experience doing that, and you'll get to travel with the people that you've been spending your whole summer with. I hope that it answered some of your questions and kind of eased your mind about being a little bit spontaneous and the whole planning process. If you did enjoy this video, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, because I really don't want you to miss out on these future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!